Hi, hey, hello, how's it going? It's Emily, and here to start the Summerween vlog. So for those who aren't familiar, Summerween is a readathon hosted by Gabby. I'll put the announcement video down below for more information. It's just to encourage people to read spooky books outside of Halloween and October and bring that energy into other seasons as well. And this is the summer round, and so it's actually a few days into the readathon. I had a weekend away. I did bring my camera with the intention of filming, but that just didn't end up happening. And anyway, it's been a few days. Really, all that I've done so far is read part of The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager, so haven't really missed much. I'm a bit over 50% into this one. This will count for a few different prompts. One, 5 words or more in the title, a night sky, or like it's clearly about to be night, like it's dusk going into night sky on the cover, night sky on the cover. And then the third one is a thriller, so it'll meet those 3 prompts. And yeah, I've been having fun with this one. It's pretty slow paced, but I'm intrigued. And we're following our main character, who's an actress who has gotten some bad press recently and is escaping to her family's house by the lake to kind of hide away and get away from the bad press and hope that it'll die down. The reason she's getting bad press is because she has been turning to alcohol to cope with her husband's death. Her husband passed away a year ago after drowning in said lake that is mentioned in the title and that she is going back to. And so she's needing to deal with the trauma of going back to the place where her husband died, or going back to the lake where her husband died. And yeah, so she has had some issues with alcohol, and yeah, anyway, so all of that is happening. So if you don't like the trope of our main character not being a reliable witness because of drugs or alcohol, might be one to avoid, because that is very heavily the issue that she's trying to work through, is convince people that she is seeing what she's seeing despite having issues with alcohol that she is supposed to be working on. And anyway, so she, towards the beginning of the book, rescues a woman who lives across the lake from her, who is supposedly a strong swimmer, but ends up rescuing her in this lake after this woman kind of felt weak and, was about to drown, or potentially was drowning, and our main character rescues her from that situation. So they strike up a friendship and start talking and getting to know each other a bit more and integrating into each other's lives a little bit. And so she's starting to get to know them a bit more. The family across the lake has rented multiple houses around the area, but finally has purchased one across the lake. And so she is wanting to get to know her neighbors, and especially after that drowning and rescue situation happens. So she is starting to pay more attention to them. And of course, there's also her using binoculars to spy on them across the lake. In that process, she realizes that the two of them have had some sort of argument, and then she doesn't see the woman anymore. And she's trying to figure out if there was foul play involved. Did she just go off did she go back home to kind of cool down after the argument? Is she trying to leave her husband? Like, what is happening? And so she is starting to become more and more convinced that there's foul play here, that something bad has happened to this woman, and she needs to help figure out what that is. And, of course, she is really going far and doing illegal things in an effort to see what is going on and what's happened to this woman. So if you also don't like characters making poor decisions in the name of trying to figure out what's going on, she does a lot of that. But I found it entertaining so far, and I'm having a good time. I'm intrigued to continue on and see what has happened to this woman and what in the end is going to be what clinches it for for her as far as trying to figure out what's going on. So the plan for the rest of the prompts includes reading The Villa. So this will actually take care of the other 2 prompts. This book is definitely set in summer. It is set in 2 different timelines, and both of those timelines in the blurb specifically mention that it's summer. So I feel like this will be a very summery book. We have some lovely lemons on the cover, so giving some summer vibes here. And then this will also, I can count this one as a book that I read in the dark, so I'll need to potentially go ahead and start this one and start reading it at night. If it takes longer than the days of the readathon to read all of these, then I don't care. Gabby's not going to come for me. But I put it for that one because this is also the shorter one that I have to read. It's not even 300 pages, and so I figured this one would be the easiest one to finish while only reading it during a specific time frame. And I also have another Rachel Hawkins book, and that is The Wife Upstairs. This one doesn't particularly give me summer vibes necessarily, but I feel like while we're reading one Rachel Hawkins, we can read another and just include that in this vlog as well. And not for any particular prompts, but just I thought it would be good to include all 3 of them. So I'll try to focus on these during the day, focus on this one at night, and just see what happens. Another complication in terms of being able to read these on time is that I'm also reading A Letter to the Luminous Deep, and well, I mean, maybe I'll briefly mention in here just for curiosity, I'm actually not filming a vlog around that one. So maybe I'll just like randomly mention it here since I'm reading it around the same time, but I'm listening to that one, the audiobook of that one, using Spotify, and I want to read that before my hours renew, and so I want to use the audiobook listening time that I have for the month before the hours renew. So I'm trying to get that one done in the next few days so that I can maximize that perk on, or not on Audible. Did I say Audible? Spotify. For the 15 hours that I have on Spotify. So I want to get to that one in the next few days. So this might take quite a bit longer than the days of the readathon, but again, don't care. So I will come back when I have more of a reading update. Okay, it's the next day, and I'm a good chunk into The House Across the Lake. I'm, 85% through or something. We've gone through what seems to be the major twist, and I'm not sure I love it. Just a taste thing, personal taste in thriller twists kind of situation. But I also know that sometimes Riley Sager will set up and completely change direction, and you think you're going in one direction, and then he kind of switches back at the last minute to another direction. And so we'll see final thoughts, but I just wanted to quickly document. I don't know. It's just not my taste in twist here. But we'll see. We'll see with the final. I have like an hour and a half left in the audiobook. In terms of actual audiobook time, not listening time, but so we're in the home stretch, but we'll see my thoughts on the last little bit of the book. So it's a little later, and I have finished The House Across the Lake. Yeah, this one was not for me. Just again, not my taste in twists, and this was what I suspected. Yes, there was another thing that happened after, but the thing that happened after was something that I was so frustrated it took that long to come back to that piece of information. Our main character had found out some things, and then that information was just sat on for a long time, and I was like, when are we gonna get back to this? And we did, but that was, anyway. It was not for me. That's fine. Thank you. Next. And I'm going to focus on these for the next couple of days. In particular this one, because again, I really need to listen to the rest of that before my Spotify audiobook time renews, and then I will be working on this one at night. So we'll be slowly making some progress on those three, and I will keep you updated. Hi, so it's a couple of days later and the readathon is over, but again, I don't care. I'm just gonna keep reading. And I did, by the way, finish A Letter to the Luminous Deep. I really enjoyed it. This is not gonna be for everyone. Just by its very nature, again, epistolary, old-timey writing style with these letters, and it feels like it should be a mystery. Two siblings trying to find out what happened to their respective siblings and starting to converse about that, and sharing letters and some other things that their siblings had started to share and correspond and start to fall for each other. So our two siblings who are trying to figure out what happened to their siblings are sharing these old letters and trying to figure out what happened. And yeah, but there's no sense of urgency in that plot. There's a lot of day-to-day life and things that have gone on in their life that they're talking about, and there's no sense of urgency with that plot. They're basically sharing different letters and other things, and the letters of their siblings who are now missing, falling for each other, are very cute. And getting to know all of these characters is just very heartwarming. It's cozy. So again, old-timey writing style, so kind of like Beautifully Bookish Bethany's take on this, that it's like a Jane Austen type writing style in these letters, so it feels old-timey. There's some different technologies that are interesting to read about. It's definitely vibey in terms of underwater research and living. That's really cool. And yeah, but the character work of Becky Chambers, of just having that cozy, comforting character work, if that sounds like something you would enjoy, would recommend. And the other book I have been reading is The Wife Upstairs by Rachel Hawkins, and we're following our main character who is running from her past, and we quickly come to realize that she's running from her past. In fact, her name is not even Jane, but she goes by Jane and has for a long time. And she's come somewhere new. She's kind of in a desperate situation financially, and she starts being a dog walker for some really rich people in this community, where she meets Eddie, who is a widow. His wife and his wife's best friend had died in what appears to be some sort of lake accident. And so the police are investigating. It's been a while, but they're investigating, and so they meet. They very quickly fall in love and get engaged, and so she's trying to kind of integrate herself into his life. She feels protected by his money, and she's trying to just see if she can lay low, integrate herself into his life, be protected from her past, and see if that can help her. And of course, mysterious things are happening surrounding his ex-wife and that accident. And yeah, and they haven't found her body, so that's why I say they don't really know what happened, because they can't quite know for sure. And so yeah, so they're investigating, and anyway, but yeah, so she's integrated herself into this community, or she's trying to be accepted by this ritzy community where she definitely does not feel like she belongs, but she wants to. Again, it's kind of a protection for herself. And so interesting things are happening. I'm intrigued. I'm a little over halfway through, and I'm 65 or so pages into The Villa, also by Rachel Hawkins. This is my night book, and we're following a couple of different timelines. We're following in present day a couple of friends, old friends who are writers. They've kind of lost touch, but towards the beginning, one reaches out to the other, and they are kind of reconnecting. And then the one who had kind of come into town and reached out has invited our main character to go to Italy with her and stay at this villa for the summer. Again, they're both writers, so she's like, we can get some of our writing done and reconnect and, you know, kind of pick back up our friendship where it kind of went off the rails a little bit. And then in the past timeline, we're following a woman who she's married pretty young, and, you know, has some issues in her marriage, but also still really loves her husband. They're both artists, but he has kind of let his passion take a front seat to hers. He's a musician, and they have been invited. The woman is our other main character. Her cousin has invited her to go to Italy to go stay in this same villa with some sort of music star. And anyway, so I think some group of them might be going to Italy to this villa, and it's a famous one because at the end of the result of something in this past timeline is that someone died, and so this villa is now known as a murder house. And, you know, of course, in the present day, you know, our main characters aren't too concerned about that. They just need a place to write for the summer, and they want to reconnect. So we're just kind of getting to know some of the characters and their situations. But anyway, so I'm going to keep going with this one at night. But for now, I'm going to keep going with this one while I get some things done. So anyway, I was also listening to this one a bit this morning because I had to adult and go get my car registered and the title transferred to mine. Anyway, it's been an adulting morning and we have some more stuff to do, so I'm gonna keep listening. Oh, I also forgot to show my Summerween shirt. How cute is that? Anyway, okay, bye. So here to quickly wrap up this vlog, I have finished The Wife Upstairs and I had fun with this one, and I think the ending happened, or things were resolved really quickly. I'd forgotten how far into the audiobook I was when I was listening, running some errands, and, you know, she discovers a major thing, dealing with the ramifications, and then, you know, things kind of happen super quickly or resolve super quickly, and then it was epilogue, and I was like, wait, what? But I did have a fun time. I don't know if I'll ever feel the need to revisit this one, but I did have a fun time. I have also finished The Villa, also by Rachel Hawkins. This is the one I've been listening to at night, which is why it took a little bit longer, because there's only so much time, but like right before bed, that I can listen, and that's the only time, because especially at this time of year, you know, by the time I wake up, it's already starting to be light, so there's really just that little bit of time before bed. But anyway, also had fun with this one. I really like following a couple of different timelines and history is repeating itself, and there are parallels between what happened in the past and what's happening in maybe a present day situation. I kind of like that setup, and that's what was going on here. I was definitely more interested in the present day timeline, but was still just overall enjoying the story. And I think I gave some basic setup, but I was talking about the friends who are trying to reconnect as friends and are going to this villa where in the past there had been this murder. They're coming to some realizations about their life. Our main character is coming to realizations about, you know, her ex-husband. She's in the process of getting divorced, and that's been really messy. But, you know, some things are tying in there between these two friends and this ex-husband and this divorce situation, and our main character trying to step away from that for a bit and just focus on writing another book, and her best friend trying to write another book too. And yeah, there just were a lot of parallels between that and what happened in this older timeline, where there's this kind of messy family dynamic, and they go to this villa over a summer, and there are a bunch of people there, different kinds of artists, mostly musicians, but there also are like the two main women in that timeline. And anyway, it's just some creative people in this house. Messy things are happening, and you figure out what ultimately led to someone dying and why that was happening. And I don't know, it's just kind of fun to follow a timeline like that, and then just see the parallels starting to stack up between what's happening now in the present day and what happened then. And our main character in the present day trying to write a book and seeing the clues and the ties that the house has to this book that was written about what happened, or drawing on what happened. And her finding clues around the house to add on to her knowledge about what happened back in that timeline. And anyway, like, she's getting inspired to write, and it was just kind of fun to follow that creative process of hers. Once again, I don't know if this will ever be one that I feel the need to revisit. We'll see if I decide on haul this one or not, but I did have a fun time with it though. And so that is a wrap on Summerween. Maybe not in terms of enjoyment of all the books, maybe not like the most successful one, but that's okay. And I did complete all the prompts between this book and House Across the Lake, so we at least hit all the prompts there. And yeah, I was in the mood just for some stuff like this, just get some thrillers in there. So I was definitely in the mood, so this came at a good time. And yeah, thanks so much for joining me. If you participated in Summerween, I know this vlog will be coming out quite a bit later than everyone else's, but that's fine. But if you participated, let me know. If you have a vlog of it, I would love to see. Or if you participated and read some books, I would love to hear about them and get some recommendations. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be sure to leave my Instagram link down below, as well as more information about how you can support the Black Lives Matter movement, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, everyone.